Okay. Practice today will likely be interrupted by a dog at some point. I'm going to have a lot of pine cones strapped on me, and hopefully nobody else runs by and screams. If they do, then we get to practice non-attachment and really just dig into like the essence of what yoga is. And yoga is the attempt to cease the stirrings of the mind. We have the first Yoga Sutra that says the practice of yoga begins now. So every day and every moment is always a fresh start. And then the second Yoga Sutra is explaining what yoga is. And yoga is the ceasing of the stirrings of the mind. Yoga is taking out all of the et cetera, that keeps us from really existing in this true space. And then we can really get back to that true space. I was walking with a friend of mine earlier today, and he was like, "Pam, there's like all these different like ways that you do yoga. Like you do the metal thing, and like other people do like with goats or chicken nuggets or something." And I was like, I don't know, like some stuff gets like kind of far appropriated from what the practice of yoga was designed for. And he's like, well, what is the point at which it's no longer yoga? Like at what point does it become just a stretching exercise? And that point is the point in which the purpose of what you're doing is no longer to get connected with the movement of the breath in the body, to get connected and stiller in the movement of the mind and the fluctuation of our thoughts. When we take that step out of it, then it's just like, do metal gymnastics. But when the things that we're doing here are focused in being very present in this moment and having a consistent practice of breath awareness of where our limbs are in space, and staying very much here on this mat, wherever the mat might happen to be, wherever the soundtrack is, then we're in yoga. And then we're really practicing, and we're really deepening this connection with ourselves. So we'll do a little bit of kind of moving around and breathing before we start to center and om. Go ahead and take your arms and lift them up. Take a big breath in. And then take your right hand down and give a little side bend over towards your right side. And as you inhale, lift both arms up. And as you exhale, drop the left hand down, side bend to the left. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bend over. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, bend over. And go a few more times on your own. Kind of noticing the sensations that come up. Notice the thoughts that come up. We can have aversion or attraction to starting off practice in ways that we maybe didn't anticipate. Just being aware of that. Whatever round you're on, just go ahead and finish off the last time over towards the left side, and then lift up and bring your hands down into your heart. It feels comfortable to you, close your eyes, feel the backs of your ears lifting up to lengthen your spine. Notice your breath, moving it in and out through your nose. Be aware that thoughts and expectations might come up. We're not bad yogis if we are incapable of turning that off. We would probably be dead if we could turn it off. What our practice is to notice and then let them pass by us, because we are not our thoughts. We are not our perfect poses. We are not our record collection. We are not our hair. We are something deeper. We are something bigger. a deep breath in through your nose. And a big exhale through your mouth. Again, like that. For 3 arms. Seated cross-legged, just go ahead and switch the cross of your legs. If you have been seated not cross-legged, I want you to cross your legs but then like switch it, so you'll have your legs in kind of a weird way. And we'll do a little bit more breath and movement here. Inhale, lift your arms up, and then this time twist over towards the right side, and you'll just stay there for a breath in and a breath out. As you inhale, lift the arms up, turn yourself to the front. And as you exhale, twist over towards the left. Stay here as you inhale. Stay here as you exhale. And inhale to the center, lifting the arms up. Exhale, twisting over towards the right. Lift from behind your ears. And soften the belly as you exhale. Lift your arms up, inhale. Exhale, twisting to the left. Stay here, inhale. Stay here, exhale. Inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale, twisting over towards the right. Stay here as you breathe in. Stay here as you breathe out. Inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale, twisting over towards the left. Last time, stay here, breathe in. Stay here, breathe out. Turn yourself to face towards the front. You're gonna walk your fingertips forward, maybe just a little bit. You don't have to go as far forward as you could if you were really, really warm or maybe occupying a different sack of skin. Just go somewhere comfortable to you. And as you breathe softness in this comfortable space, you may notice a little bit more room to go deeper. And if you don't notice any more room, then that's just where your body is at today. If you do have more room settling in, take another breath in. Let the breath out. And start to walk your hands a little bit over towards the right. And you might bring your body all the way down over this thigh. You might just twist over a little bit. Relax into your lower back. One more round of breath. And then start walking yourself about that far over towards the left side. And you get to decide how deep you go. So make sure that your primary focus, the first thing that you're concerned with is, am I still breathing? Am I still here? Is this useful and interesting, this place that I've brought my body to? One more inhale. One more exhale. And come into the center. If you've got the room, go ahead and walk your fingertips a tiny bit further forward. And if you are in the perfect place right now, you stay there. Just breathe in and out. And then start to walk your hands in towards you. And you're going to cross your legs the normal way, whatever normal is. And then take your arms, lift, and that big breath in. Stay lifted. Exhale, twist over towards your right side. Get a little bit taller as you breathe, a little bit more intentional. Exhale, soften your belly, twist a little bit deeper. And inhale, reach your arms up, come back to the center. Exhale, twisting over towards your left. Think just a little bit taller as you breathe in, a little bit squishier in the belly as you breathe out. Inhale, back to the center, lift up. Exhale, twisting over towards the right. Stay there, breathe in. Stay there, breathe out. Inhale, back to the center, lifting your arms. Exhale, twisting over towards the left. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist. One more round each side. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, twist. Stay there, get tall. Stay there, twist. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, twisting over towards the left. Stay there, breathe in. Stay there, breathe out. Come back to the center. Go ahead and lift your arms up. And then lean forward, bringing your hands down somewhere that maybe is comfortable to you. Maybe you went too far forward and it's not comfortable. So just walk back if that's the case. Soft exhale. And then walk your hands over towards the left. Now that you've got maybe a little bit more room loosened up in your hips, can you relax your right hip down? You don't have to push it down. We're just starting to consciously soften that space. Inhale. Exhale. And then walk your hands over towards the right side, and when you get there, it'll be your left hip that you're now trying to relax. Excellent. One more breath in. One more breath out. Walk yourself back to the center. See if instead of worrying about how far forward you can walk your hands, how much more can you relax your hips and your lower back? One more breath in. One more breath out. Start walking your hands back towards you. You're going to take your hands back behind you. Go ahead and bring your legs out in front of you. Just going to take a little lift into the chest and then a lazy movement of the legs side to side to loosen up around the hips. And then you'll come to having your left shin out in front of you. We'll just pretend that I'm not near you right now. So if your right shin next to you, but notice my foot is not near my hip. My other shin is out in front. I've got this sort of pinwheel-like shape, and then I might come back towards the left forearm. You want to try to leave the knee down. If anything lifts up, it's the hip. If you've got any more room, you might come down onto your forearms, and if that was a bad idea and you should just be on your hands leaning back, then that's exactly where you go. Try not to sink in your shoulders. Just give a little pressure into those arms so your chest lifts up. Big inhale. Soften something as you exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And then take your right hand and you're going to turn it over towards your left hand so you can walk yourself up. And then you're going to take your right leg and you're going to move it a little bit further back behind you. So your legs are a little bit more open now. And then you're going to come forward over your thigh. You can get a little bit closer towards your shin if that's okay for the rotation in your hip. Try to do that, but mostly just coming over in a way that is, again, comfortable. So someplace useful where you are able to very easily breathe and be here. So these two poses that we just did deer pose, this is called swan pose. Those we do quite a lot. This next one's going to be a little bit different. So you're gonna do a twist, but it's gonna be facing down instead of on your back like we might usually do it. So now I'm gonna take this leg and I'm gonna lean it forward just a little bit more so that I can try to come down, and I'm sitting over on my hip, and it's not like pigeon. I'm not doing anything specific with this leg. I'm just gonna try to come over, sit on this left hip, and roll my chest towards the floor, the ground, pine needles, depending on where you're at. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then start to walk your hands back up. And then sit yourself up, and then switch your legs. If it's easy to turn over in this direction like I will, you can, or you can just pivot them around so that you start off with this pinwheel shape, shin flush to the long end and shin flush to the short end. And we're gonna start off by going back. And the knee stays down. Maybe the elbow comes down, maybe both elbows come down. And this hip lifting up, a-okay. Probably even something to shoot for, maybe lifting this hip up to stretch the front of this thigh up. Two more breaths. And then take your left hand over, and you're going to doggy paddle your way up, and you'll start to slide that left leg back a little bit more. And I'm still sitting all the way over on this hip, and I want to go kind of out towards my shin if I can. This leg is in a fairly arbitrary position. It doesn't even need to be as far back as mine is. Just giving yourself the room to move forward over your right shin. Big breath in. Big breath out. Do that one more time. Big breath in. Big breath out. Come up a little bit so you can kind of move your leg over a little bit more. So I'm still sitting over on my hip, but if I get the thigh a little bit more out of my way, I can start to twist my torso down. I've got as much open space underneath my ribs as possible to try to turn my rib cage towards the floor. Just thinking soft, squishy, easy belly. Stay here as you inhale. Stay here as you exhale. Start to come up. Walk yourself up. We're going to move onto our hands and knees. Now you can be on fingertips or on your palms, depending on what feels good to you. Move through a few cat cow as you breathe in. Drop your belly up. As you breathe out, tuck your tailbone. Inhaling out, exhaling into cat pose. And as you move through these, notice the movement of your backbones, whether you're sinking into your shoulders, what face muscles you're using, and whether you need to be doing that. One more round of breath. Back towards a more neutral spine. You're gonna take your left toes and turn them out to the left, and then take your right foot to the back of the mat. I'm gonna show from behind so you can really see my foot sitting back behind me. And then take your right arm up in the air. You've got your right leg towards the back of the mat, your right arm up in the air. You're gonna push down in your left hand. I want you to get your rib cage to lift up away from the floor, and it's not gonna go very far. You'll feel that lifting, that exhale, take your right hand down. You're gonna switch to having both knees down and the toes face behind you. And then you'll adjust that right leg so it's back behind you. Your left foot goes to the back of your mat and the left arm goes up in the air. And we can be here, right? Like we can let the ribs drop down, but we're not going to. We're gonna lift the ribs up and stand upwards into space. Both collarbones are open. Inhale here. Exhale here. Let both hands come down, both knees come down. Walk your knees back a little bit so you're in a slightly longer table. We're not going to do crazy chaturanga stuff today, but if you wanted to take a really slow lower down onto your belly, that's all up to you. And then when you get down there, you're done with that. Wiggle your legs back a little bit. Take your hands, make a pillow for your forehead. Soften your shoulders. Take your hands and reach them back behind you, interlacing your fingers and coming up to stretch open across the shoulders, reaching your toes back and your heart forward. Inhale here. Exhale, lower it down. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes. Lift your belly. Lift the pelvis, keep the knees down, keep the chest open, push yourself up off the ground, and then come into downward facing dog. We're gonna do one kind of hard, strong thing today. It's been called a drunken triangle or broken triangle, and then we'll do some nice triangle flow stuff later, which will be a triangle you're more familiar with. So if this is very strange, don't worry about it. Stay there with your breath. That little rib cage lifting we were just doing will be very helpful. You're gonna take your right leg and you're gonna cross it underneath your left hip. So it goes way out to the side there, right? And then you might come up onto left fingertips, or you can reach your left arm up in the air. You can pivot this back foot if you want. Lift those ribs, big inhale. And then exhale, take the hand down, step your foot back, press your hips up in the air. And then you'll take your left leg and you're gonna kick it out underneath. You can pivot your back foot down. You can be on right fingertips are lifted all the way up towards the sky. You're lifting those bottom ribs. Inhale. Exhale, take the hands down, step back, downward facing dog, breathing in, breathing out. And then bringing your feet towards your hands and your hands towards your feet. Come into a fold, bend your knees, drop your head, let your belly and your thighs get as close to each other as you can. And coming up to a halfway lifted space, rolling the shoulders back, sending your heart forward. Stay lifted, stay heart forward, bring your hands to your hips, lead with the heart coming all the way up. We're going to take tree pose. So find a place where you might have to hold on to something, you might just be willing to fall over, put your foot on your thigh or on your calf. And then take your arms open, your branches open. Keep lengthening the knee out so you can lift the front of your hips. Notice your breath. It's very easy for the breath to change. Becomes a little bit more alert. Shows that we're a little bit more on edge about being in an unusual place, like standing on one leg. And just noticing that response. Seeing if we can balance that response, even if we can't really balance the body. Go ahead and let your leg drop down, wiggle your hips out a little bit. Come into tree pose on the other side. And putting your foot wherever it works for you. It doesn't have to be your thigh. I find the higher the leg is, the easier it is to open the knee and lift the hips. Open your arms. what that effect was on your open heart. The collarbones shortening inwards or broadening outwards. What was your response towards yourself if you noticed your collarbone shortening inwards? Hopefully it wasn't like, oh, bad yogi. It's not the case. Notice you are able to do better. You are not your tight collarbones. Take an inhale. Exhale. Snap it down. Wiggle out. And then step your feet out real wide. Let your toes face forward. Bring your legs about as wide apart as they can go. So right about underneath your hands. And then take an inhale. Feel your spine getting long. You can soften your knees if that's going to help in your back, or keep the legs straight. Exhale. Drive it all the way forward. Take your hands down. Relax your head. Your hands could be here and your knees could be bent. And we've got lots of different options there. But try to relax your head. Just notice where the weight is underneath your feet. Soften something as you exhale. Soft bend in the knees, not a lot, just a little bit at least. And then taking your hands to your hips, you're gonna lean your heart forward and then lead with your heart to come all the way up. And then turn your toes all the way over towards the right. Now pull your hips back gently until your thigh bone lifting up. And then that might tilt you over even more. This top hip leans over slightly. Slide it down, and then you can open your collarbones or your arm, triangle pose. Thinking of a lot of like negative space. Like, there's lots of like triangles in between your body parts. So kind of even like you are the triangle, you're making space for the triangle. In. Big breath out. Start to lift yourself up so that you can switch your feet over towards the other side, pulling your hips back and sliding your hand down. Opening the top shoulder, maybe all the way up to the fingertips. If I were to get like kind of soft and falling in, I no longer have triangles. Create this long, strong body to make space for those triangles. Inhale. Exhale. Draw your belly in, come all the way up. And then bring your feet in. And cross your left leg back behind your right leg. And you're going to take your arms up and hold onto your left arm. And you can bump your hips a little bit over towards the left, but let the space between your hips and your ribs get a little bit smaller. So just kind of soften inwards here. As you pull over on this left wrist, gently push down into your left foot, your back foot. Inhale here. Exhale. You're going to keep your legs crossed and you're going to fold forward. You'll either hold on to your shins or come all the way down towards the ground and just notice where the weight is on your feet. Play around with the weight on your feet a little bit. So if you want to feel more, you're going to have to push more into the big toes and into the toes in general. If you want to feel less, playing with where exactly you can position yourself to get the best amount of intensity out of this pose. Big breath in. Big breath out. Keep the legs straight. Look forward, draw the belly in, bring your hands to your hips, and lead with the heart coming all the way up. And then switch the cross of your legs. When you take your right arm up, your back leg is going to push down. This space between your ribs and your hips instead of flaring out like my body wants to do too. We're just going to soften it in and shorten muscles. Relax your right shoulder blades slightly forward. Pushing them back. Inhale here. Exhale here. Up. Fold forward, keeping the legs crossed. Coming down just as far as feels good to you. Playing around with your weight. And as you're playing around with the weight of your feet down on the ground, notice what's happening with your breath, and if you can also remain steady in that pace, and the list of that which we can pay attention to, of course, just gets longer. Bringing your hands to your hips, draw your belly in, lead with the heart coming forward, taking yourself all the way up. Crossing your legs. We're going to take ourselves into a little lunge here. You're going to come into a lizard lunge. So you're going to take your right foot forward and your left foot back and come on the inside of your leg. So I know it's got almost in the same amount. So I'm on the inside, so I'm on the other side of my leg. We're on the back toes. Bringing my heart forward here. Maybe I feel my legs split open a lot. It doesn't even need to be that much. Take an inhale. Exhale, straight-ish the front leg. It might not get straight, and it's fine if it doesn't. Inhale, the lunge. Exhale, pull both hips back, straight-ish back. 2 more times. Heart forward. Exhale, pull the hips back. One more time, bend into your knee, and then you're going to walk yourself over towards the left until you come into that low forward fold, and then go ahead and soften yourself down. Inhaling, exhaling. We're going to start to walk back to the right, back to the lunge. So you'll turn the right knee and the toe forward, and lifting your left heel up. And we're going to come up into a squat. You can go all the way down into a squat, or you can come about halfway. So you're going to take your left foot, bring it outside of your left hand. You can stay here or come down all the way. If your hands come off the ground, you can do that. Feel better with them on the floor. Heels aren't down and your hips are really low, and you can move your feet around a little bit. One more inhale. One more exhale. Hands are down. Hips go up. If your toes are turned out a little bit, turn them forward, but leave your feet nice and wide. You're going to bend more into the left leg so you can take your right arm up and push the outside of your right hip. Exhale. Taking the right hand down and switching sides, bending more into the right leg and taking the left arm open. Breathing in, breathing out. Both hands come down. Bend your knees a little bit, bring your hands to your hips, lead with the heart, come all the way up. And you can just take your right foot and step it back. I'm going to switch to the other side of my mat, so I'm not putting my thumb to you. We're going to go into that lunge with the left leg forward and the right leg back now. Go ahead and come down into this space and wiggle that back foot back just as much as it needs to go. We'll go through that slow, easy flow here. Inhaling as the heart goes forward, and then exhaling as you straightish the front leg. And straightish just is less bent than it was before. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, pull it back. 2 more like that. Inhale. Exhale, straightish. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, straightish. Inhale, lunge. And then again, moving into that wide-legged forward fold, turning all of the toes to be forward and softening your body down. On the inside, relaxing the backs of your ears down towards the floor, feeling your lower back relaxing, noticing any place where your body's holding tension. One more exhale, see what you can let go of. And then moving yourself back over towards the left side. We'll turn the toes over, lifting that back heel up. And then we're gonna come up into that squat. So you'll take the back foot up. It doesn't have to be graceful. You could just stay here in a squat or coming down. Yep, I need to do a little bit of my little foot dance. Trying to place hands at the heart or hands on the ground. And it's okay if you even just sit down. You need to sit down. Your knees are bobbing. Able to be here on your feet, feel those feet, down and forward, down, hands down, butt up, toes forward, bending more into the right leg as you take your left arm up in here, feel that whole outer hip. Taking that left hand down, so bend more into your left leg. So the right leg could be bent a little bit too. That's wonderful. Two. Inhale here. Stay here as you exhale. Take both hands down. Soften your knees. Bring your hands to your hips. Lead with the heart. Sweep your legs and bring them real wide again. We're going to take ourselves into this wide-legged forward fold, and we're going to come in a triangle pose from the bottom, which is kind of a weird entrance. We're going to have to move feet around. We practiced that a little bit. We're going to have to open up from the bottom, think about where our hips are tilting, go through all of that. Let's start off with this triumphant lift up through the spine, big inhale, and then exhale, fold it down. And then walk over towards you. I will mirror you now. Turn your right toes all the way out to the right. You're going to turn your left toes in a little bit as you walk your body over towards your right leg. Probably you're going to have to take your right hand further up your shin. If you don't, so fine, you can grab a block. And then we're going to leave this hip turned over, but let the ribs open up. So we're really revolving that chest open. And maybe this arm. If you're like really bent in here and you're not really in triangle pose because that's not a triangle, you might come back up here. That space. Exhale. Take the hands down and bend the knees as you move yourself back into this center forward fold. Find something you can relax. And then turning your left toes out to the left, moving your body over towards the left. You have to turn your right toes over towards the left a little bit too. Maybe the hand comes further up the shin. Then leave the hips turned over and then let the rib cage open up. And that'll open the hips a little bit, but not, hopefully not more than what will allow you to have a long spine. And lots of long lines to create a triangle pose. Big breath in. Big breath out. Taking hands down, walking yourself back into the center here. We're going to heel toe the feet a little bit closer together. Maybe they only come about hip width apart. Your knees bend, bring your hands to your hips, lead with the heart, coming all the way up. When you get there, bring your feet in, close to touch. Lift your arms up. Interlace your fingers, make Vera move it like the steeple fingers, Charlie's Angels hands. Feel your feet pressing down as your fingertips poke a little bit higher up into the air. This inseam of your body drawing in and lifting you taller, lifting you stronger. Stay there 2 more breaths. Exhale, release your hands down. You're gonna come down into a seat. Just go ahead and settle yourself in. Bring the soles of your feet together. Rock a little bit side to side until you find a steady, easy seat on both sits bones. And then lift your chest up, letting your thighs relax down. Long through the spine. Relaxing those legs open. Inhaling. Exhaling. Letting the legs go out wide. Go out about as wide as you feel the need to do. And one option is if you're still working on getting a tall, straight spine while sitting up with, and this is a bit of a fold of about 90 degrees, floor, body. If this is strong for you, you're going to leave your fingertips on your leg and let that point of contact be helpful. And you could do less fingertips as you're feeling frisky about it. For those of us who feel steady about sitting up, you take your arms out to your sides. Notice what happens to the insides of your legs. If you're anything like me, your legs start to roll like this. Can you leave them open? And your collarbones opening out to your fingertips. Backs of your ears lifting. Hopefully we're not letting the guts all spill out. There's a little bit of connection between belly and the hips and the ribs here. As you're here, notice where the points of tension are in your body and in your brain, in your hands. There's no resistance here. Enjoying, not enjoying, frustrated with yourself, whatever it is, just noticing. You are not that frustration. You are not that. Letting it go. One more breath in. Breath out. Go ahead and offer yourself this forward fold as much as you want to. So for a lot of us, it's going to be here, even though it's not. The body's a little bit more malleable at this point. You're just going to be wherever you are. Forward a little. Find softness with yourself wherever it is. Make that lower back relaxing. Breath. Start to walk your hands back in. You're going to take your left leg and fold it in so your right leg is out nice and long. And we're going to take ourselves again into a fold here, but this time drawing in over just one leg. You might get really far. You might grab your foot and pull in. You might be up here. Good. Relaxing that lower back. Big breath in. Big breath out. And start to walk your hands back. You're going to take your right hand out on the inside of your right leg. Open that left collarbone. So you're going to open up through the chest and stay open and let that arm come over just in front of your nose, resting your right hip down, or your left hip down, sorry. Both hips are down. Inhale. Exhale. Lift lift yourself up. We're gonna come into Stargazer, plant your hand down and think about creating that negative space, this open area around your body. Lifting up, spreading out your limbs. Inhale here. And exhale, come and sit it down. Switch the legs, taking the right leg and the left leg up, and then coming down into this fold. Wiggle your hips around and find just the right place for all of these things. In the lower back, you draw yourself up closer towards your leg. One more breath in, one more breath out. Start to come up. Turn yourself open. We're leaning a little bit into this leg and then taking the right side, the collarbone open, the ribs are open, and then keeping the ribs open, let your arm come slightly forward. Resting that right hip down. Ears out of shoulders. Notice if there was tension in the back of your neck there. Just being aware, being cognizant of what the body's doing. Breathing in. Breathing out. Draw the belly in, take yourself up, bring those fingertips back, and open the body up, lifting up into that stargazer position. Expand into space, feel the air, all that space moving around you. Inhale, exhale, keep the hips down, and then come down onto your back. I'm gonna let the hips to be down, feet are together, knees are open. If this is uncomfortable in your hips, I want you to just lean over, so you can lean over so one thigh is down and the other one is kind of open. It can be straight up, it can be open a little bit, whatever feels okay to you. This can be a little bit softer, even with the hand under your back. You got both hands under thighs, no hands under thighs, whichever you like. You've been laying on one side, you're going to start to roll over towards the other. If you're here in the center, just notice whether your chest is open. Maybe you could wiggle your shoulder blades in a little bit. Give yourself more space in your own body. Over towards one side, come back towards the center. If you're not feeling good about having the legs really open, just take your feet down and open the knees a little bit. You don't need to have them really far wide open. If you feel okay about having them open, go for it. We're going to do one of two things. If your knees are open and your feet are together, you might slide your hands underneath. There's a wiggle here, and hold the outsides of your ankles. If you have shorter arms or tighter hips, or you say to yourself, wow, that sounds absolutely certifiably easy, you're not going to do that. I've got other options. Go ahead and take your 4 fingers and slide them underneath your mat so your thumbs are on top. And you, if you're holding your mat, are going to pull the mat apart and feel your chest lifting up like so. Yes? If you are not holding the mat, if you're holding your ankles, you're going to push your feet together and pull your shins. You will feel the same sensation of your chest lifting and opening. Let your heart flow down. Take a big breath in. Big breath out.
let your heart soften. Let go of whatever you've been holding on to. Slowly turn your knees to face out and the soles of the feet down, and just let yourself rest on your back for a moment. Maybe you even let those knees knock into each other. The back meet the ground. Let your body be heavy. Knees open, facing upwards. Feet are a little bit wider than your hips. Take your arms and reach them up above your head. Hold opposing elbows and then wiggle those elbows just a little bit further away from you. As you pull those elbows a little further away from you, you might feel more of this heart floating up into the front of the rib cage action. Let both of your knees go over towards the right side, separate from each other. Legs are open, feet are flexed, and gently pull the elbows away from your torso as you feel your left knee reaching out away from your torso as well. One more breath in. One more breath out. Taking your knees up, rolling them over towards the other side, flexing your feet, letting your right hip lift up, lengthening that right thigh bone out and forward, pulling those elbows gently up and back. Big inhale, big exhale. Yep. Take the feet in a little bit closer, about hip width apart, up nice and close to your hips. Take your arms down by your side. If you like that whole pulling on the mat thing, you could slide your fingertips underneath and use that pulling apart as we come into bridge pose, or maybe you wiggle your hands underneath your hips as you lift those hips up, push the feet down, and then let the heart pump open into the front of the ribcage. Push those feet down, all four corners. Feel your body expanding and pumping. One more breath in. Relax the shoulders, the heart down as you come down. If you did one of those, maybe try the other one as we go into just our second round of bridge pose. We'll just do two. If you held hands, you might hold hands. If you held the mat, you might do the other one. Maybe coming up here, just feeling the change in those. How the shape is different. One more inhale. Exhale, relax your shoulders, come down. Bring your knees into your chest. And then gently wiggle those knees. And let the soles of the feet come down. Take your right knee into your chest, extend your left leg out, and then flex your left foot. It's fine if the leg doesn't get totally straight, but feel the foot, the sole of the foot expanding and flexing outwards. And relax your right leg as much as you're able to. Action in the left. Breath out. And then you're going to roll over onto your left side. It doesn't have to be graceful. You're gonna lay on your arm. You're gonna take this right leg into our fallen tree pose. If you're feeling steady, you might take your hand up onto your thigh just to challenge your balance. Let that bottom leg be strong, just like we were doing, so the front of the hip is open, just like you're standing on it. And then try to have a conversation with those like muscles right behind your ears there, where on me they just want to try to hold me up, and it's not going to work very well. Again, if you want things to be real interesting, you can keep this bottom leg firm and straight and strong. If you want things to be a little softer, you're going to bend that bottom leg so it's a little more supportive. You're going to take your peace fingers, close them, and maybe you wrap them around your big toe. Maybe you say that sounds like a nice idea for next week, and you hold them to your shin or spine. You've got your big toe. Notice if your right hip is trying to slide up into your armpit, and instead of sliding it up into your armpit, can you slide it down towards your bottom foot? Is that bottom foot still active? Do you feel like you're going to fall over? If you do, it's fine. You do fall. It's also fine if you feel like you're going to fall over. How does that impact your back? What would happen if your foot started to try to escape? So it's kind of like you're in triangle pose on your side. Opening the chest, strong out through the feet. Exhale. Relax your foot. And then roll over onto your back. I'm going to shift a little bit because I'll have my butt to it. So come on down. Bring your left leg in and let your right leg slide out, and the left leg is relaxed. It's the right leg that's pushing out through the sole of the foot. Onto right side, lay on your arm, and put the foot on the inside of your left leg. Maybe down a little bit more. Just try not to apply any pressure directly onto the knee. Ooh, this is going to be the hard side for you today. I'm feeling a little connection here, just to keep it balanced. Maybe the hand goes up on that side. Maybe it stays here because you need it today. Whatever you need is fine. Notice what you need. You can bend into the bottom leg. It will make this a little bit easier. You might see me fall off, so you can tell this is my weird side. Take your peace fingers, close them, and you might wrap them around your big toe. And then instead of letting the hip come up into the armpit, let's go down to that foot. Ugh, okay. And maybe the foot starts to escape. Maybe my eyebrows start to tie themselves in knots because they're not really sure about this right now. The leg doesn't have to get straight. If it went from here to there and that's exciting for you, I want you to continue to be excited about that, okay? It is a change you are making in your life. One more breath if you're still breathing. And then let go of that leg. We're actually going to roll over onto our bellies now. Just make a pillow for your head with your hands. Rest your forehead. Resting the cheek is a good alternative if it feels better to rest that way. your right arm open. We usually take a straight arm out. This time maybe have like a cactus shape. And if you do the cactus shape, bring your elbow a little bit higher than your shoulder. So not quite in line, maybe a little bit up. Just let that palm come down. Left hand underneath your shoulder and roll your leg back. If this does not feel good to you, it can be more intense like this. I want you to go back to a straighter arm. Yeah? If this is not useful to you, if this is too chaotic, if the continuation of your breath is not possible, if keeping the mind a little bit more still is not possible, change what you're doing with your movement. This is a practice for your benefit. It probably ends up being a benefit to your partners and your loved ones and etc., but it starts with you. Big exhale. And then roll over onto your belly and take the other arm out so it's kind of like a little bit above the shoulder there. And taking the hand in and rolling that other leg back. I was speaking, by the way, a little bit more about kind of exercising that patience and good human quality kind of thing in our yoga practice. You have to be flexible or anything. More flexible in the mind. Rolling over so you can unwind your arm and continuing to roll over until you come onto your back. When you get there, take your knees up, cross your ankles, grab for your ankles. If the ankles aren't available to you, hold on to the shins. Hips really soft and open. Switching the cross of your ankles. It's fine if you want to wiggle around a little bit or if you would rather be still. Release the feet down. Release your palms open, maybe rolling the shoulder blades in just a bit underneath the back to support an open heart. Deciding if you would like to rest here with knees falling against each other or to let the legs extend. You're welcome to take a seat of meditation if that seems more true to what you need right now. Legs up against the wall, anything at all. Settling into this very well-deserved rest. Gratitude for coming to the mat today, for taking this time for yourself. When you're ready, finding your own version of a comfortable seat. Hands at heart, breath steady, mind still soft. Sealing our practice, releasing one whole together. Big breath in. Bowing down to the love, to the light and the darkness within each of our hearts. Namaste. Hey everyone.
His birthday before this, that's why I look like this.
That's awesome.
We had a little neighborhood parade. I had a little clown nose and a hat. I was doing toy spinning. It was very cute.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable. I'm glad you made it.
Good. Gosh, I really love that fallen tree. It was so difficult. And afterwards, when I went to do like the shoulder stretch, like yes, I could feel the stretch here, but my bottom legs were just shaking afterwards. I loved it though. It was so challenging.
Good. It's fun. Something a little different. Thanks. Thanks. Thank you. Alright. Well, I'm gonna go run into the river because it's really hot.
Thank you, April. See you. Enjoy
Thank
the
you all
river.
for being here. Have really good days. Drink lots of water.
Have a rest of the day.